Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and we are very excited to make an important announcement about check in and check up for our health. And I hope that you will continue to join us in this conversation this evening, and you will engage with us in the conversation as well as have some takeaways. And I think that this is going to change a lot of lives. I know it already has changed mine. We are going to be kind of giving a new 2.0 of Tom Joyner's Take a Loved One to the Doctor. We started that 20 years ago with my former boss, and now we are bringing it into the 2022s and having an opportunity to talk about the importance of our health, our good health, physical as well as mental. And I'm very excited about the partnership that we are engaging in, and that is with the American Heart Association. So sit tight, enjoy, and I hope that you will learn as we seek to inform and empower you today. Let us start with my good friend. I haven't seen her in a while, and I got to tell you, if anybody is aging backwards, it's this woman, Katrina McGee of the American Heart Association. You know her heart is good. You look fabulous. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Sybil, it is so great to see you. Thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, always. Anytime the door is open to you, okay? as you continue to live your best life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also joining us today is Dr. Rowena Macklin. Hello, doctor. How are you?
Good evening, Sybil. How are you today? I'm glad
It's
to be here.
it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. I know you guys are all very busy. We appreciate you making
Sure.
time in your schedule. And let's also welcome in my friend, the head doctor, if you will. She gets to the heart of matters as well. And that's our friend, Dr. Alpha Stewart. Hi, Doc.
Hi, Sybil. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you. Thank you so much. And I don't know about you, but I'm a GDI, but we're looking like a Delta convention right now. I'm just
I'm thinking, yeah, yeah.
but we're going red all evening long. So, and I also want to welcome in my homegirl, the queen of comedy, Adele Givens.
Hello, ladies. Hello, Sybil.
How you doing, Adele?
I'm doing well. How about you?
We're great. I'm so glad that you could join us. And we are going to start our conversation with you, Adele, because those of us who have known you and have been fans of yours for so very long, we know what your life is like in the I guess in the caring of others as a caregiver, and with people who are experiencing or have experienced physical challenges. So, Adele, you have taken on the caring of your husband, Tony, who many of us know and love, and you are currently also in the thick of things as we are experiencing COVID. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, on New Year's, first of all, if you don't know, my husband has had two liver and one kidney transplants. So he's a transplant patient. And around about New Year's Eve, he started experiencing some COVID symptoms. And it just kept progressing and getting worse and getting worse. And so I got afraid. I got nervous again. It was like reliving when he had the transplant where he flatlined, and they told us there was nothing else that they could do, nothing else that could be done. But this time I've already I've got all of his doctors and nurses phone numbers
Mm-hmm.
just in case anything went awry in the past. And this time when he started to he had a fever for like 8 days, and
Mm.
it worried me. So I called his transplant doctor, and they would like get him tested right away and get him to the hospital right away. I was ignorant about it. This is the second time. So being a caregiver is scary because you got all these feelings of guilt when something happens. I stayed on the internet reading up on this and reading up on that, and yet and still I missed it when uh, we were so concerned about his liver when he first had the transplant. I didn't know anything about kidney stuff, and he was laying down and sleeping and being lethargic. And they told us when I called his doctor and they got him to the hospital, it's like his creatinine is. I'm like, what? What in the hell is that? I haven't read about that.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the kidney. So it goes from one thing to the other, and you never know when something's going wrong. This time, when that COVID hit him, I tested negative actually, but the doctor said I could have had it and it could have cleared, because I did have a fever early on, late last year and early January. So yeah,
And
now I'm
and
trying
and
to
this
take
went on
care of
for
this.
8 days with Tony. So you could
eight
have had it
days.
and then recuperated from it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the fever was it lasted 8 days, and I kept thinking. I remember now. I'm here with a few doctors, and I guess y'all can confirm this for me. But I remember reading somewhere that if you had a fever long enough, you could go into seizures, and that concerned me. So that's why I texted his transplant doctor, who called me and said, "Forget this texting stuff. Tell me about this." So they started him on a drug that just literally an EUR drug, emergency use authorization drug called molnupiravir, something like that. They just authorized it. The FDA passed an emergency use authorization for this drug on December 21st. And this is
Wow.
the drug he's taking now. And it seems to be helping because he tried to eat a little something and he set up, and that is progress compared
Wow.
to how he was. But
I can't imagine any of us, and thank God for your sense of purpose with your husband, but also thank God for your gift of comedy because
I
you
know
have to keep that as you are going through all of these medical challenges. And so I think that's one thing that I would like for us to carry with us is that spirit that you have in order to keep going.
it's
And
necessary.
yeah.
I told him if
Mhm.
he died, if you die, I'm gonna kill you. He must have feared that because he didn't die. So
Well, let us talk as we continue our conversation with Adele. Let us talk to my good friend Katrina McGee. Katrina is the executive vice president of marketing and communications at the American Heart Association. She serves as the chief brand ambassador, responsible for promoting the Heart Association's mission and communicating its life-saving messages to audiences across the country, if not the world. And Katrina, you have also served in this position where I came to know you with Susan Komen for the Cure. But now here you are at Heart, and you are. First of all, I want to thank you for the partnership that we are now announcing today with the American Heart Association, the What You Need to Know newsletter, and it's Sybil, and starting this wonderful partnership with the American Heart Association. Welcome and thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure, Sybil. We are so delighted to partner with you. And it's important. You and I have been working together a long time to elevate awareness around important health topics. And I think now more than ever, we need that kind of information in our community, good information, factual information, so people can access the healthcare system with knowledge and be able to address the issues that are so important and prevalent in our community.
So, as this important position in the American Heart Association, and we are talking about checking in and checking up for your health. Nobody knows this better than an organization such as yours. Can you talk about the importance of our communicating and looking out for, like Tom used to have with, take a loved one to the doctor, but we're taking it to another level because we are in a time where not only do we need to check in, but we need to check up on our health and with each other.
Oh my goodness, yes. Our stress is off the charts. Anxiety and depression are increasing. And we know there is a link between chronic stress and cardiovascular disease. Now, Black folks could have told us that a long time ago, but it's nice that the science has caught up and we can actually talk about it and give people tools and resources to manage their health. And that's why I'm so excited because checking in on your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your diabetes. We stopped going to the doctor during the pandemic and we got to get back at it. But then also checking on each other, loving on each other. If you
Mhm.
haven't heard from each other, calling to say, hey, you okay? Seeing each other via FaceTime and Zoom, all of it is so important so that we know that our friends and family are okay.
The one thing that we did talk about is what this whole objective is, and checking in and checking up for your health is our pathway in order to make sure that our physical and mental health checkups, that our conversations are a part of our daily lives, not to just say, oh, I'm going to the doctor, and then put it away. We have to work the program, or work the steps, if you will, on a daily basis. And this is the opportunity for us to promote greater health awareness for our community, for Black folks, to eliminate the health disparities that currently exist in our communities. And you can talk about that, because with the American Heart Association, we've already worked with you regarding diabetes, but there's stroke, and as you mentioned, high blood pressure, and things like that. And we are number one at so many of the top of the list of these diseases.
In nearly everything. I mean, the truth is, 1 out of 2 Black and Hispanic Americans have some form of cardiovascular disease. So think about that. 1 out of 2. That's like, it's 5 of us, like every other one of us. And so it's urgent, it's important. And, tying the whole body together. That's why I love that we're talking about the mental and the physical is really the best way to address our overall health. So I'm excited for the partnership and the ongoing conversation, because we can't just talk about it one time or
Right.
just during Heart Month. Like, this is an all the time conversation, and to have a little fun too. That's why, Adele, I love you're here, because we have to stay positive and upbeat and learn to enjoy life even with the circumstances around us.
Adele, you get that. I mean, you've been invested in the struggle for your husband's survival, but you have, you understand, and I do mean to make it light, but not that light, because to say we're number one, and we're at the top of all of these diseases, that's crazy.
It's scary. It is
Yeah.
scary. We strive to be number one in so many other different things, but
Right.
yet here we are at the top of the charts with this. We definitely need to change the narrative. I totally agree with you. We have to not just do one show, but we have to continuously focus on these issues. And when I'm on stage, some of the things I say could offend people who have had COVID or who had health issues, but they have to understand my jokes come from a place of reality
Right.
and fear and tragedy. I mean, I have said, listen, when I see COVID, I'm slapping the hell out of it. I don't know how it looks, but if you look like you got 19 of anything, I'm hitting you 19 times. I mean, it has affected the community disparate just the same way. Like 1 out of 2 people may have COVID-19 that you know. And
That's right.
this is scary. I mean, I tease DL Hughley because he had COVID-19, as you know, and they had him on the internet,
Hmm.
going viral, falling out of his chair. And I tell a joke where I say, yeah, I had to call him and check on DL, like, hey, friend, how are you? I see that you had COVID. And DL was like, well, I was asymptomatic. And I said, fool, you fell out of a chair. I'm pretty sure that's a damn symptom. But he laughed. And so when the audience it's like, don't get offended. I'm trying to bring some balance. We do need to laugh because it is definitely real medicine.
Hmm.
Laughter is
Mhm.
definitely medicine. And we
How about with your husband, and bringing that to your conversations with him as he's recuperating from his transplants?
Well, I did all kind of material on his transplant doctors came to a show, and I told the audiences, these are the people that saved my husband's life. I called him and told him I was in town. He's like, I'm coming to the show. Don't you worry about tickets. We're gonna buy tickets. And I said, you damn right y'all gonna buy tickets. I didn't see nobody say that liver was on the house. So yeah, you gonna buy some. I mean, I have to bring the funny because it's necessary. And I mean, we really need it a lot more than a lot of other groups. So I'm grateful to you, Sybil, for this opportunity to sit here and to discuss some serious matters with some humor because we need that. And let's hurry up and get to the psychological part of it because I know I'm number one up there.
Okay, well, I'm close behind. Katrina, let's talk about this, because I think we are at the on the precipice of creating and changing the narrative in as we check in and check up on our health. We're going to make a big difference here.
I agree. It's definitely a seminal moment in time. You know, COVID has given us all a life interrupted moment. We're all thinking about how to live different, how to take care of ourselves different. And I don't think any other time in my life have I heard the conversation around mental well being and mental health be so at the forefront. And I am just grateful for that because, you know, we have Uncle Ray and Crazy Billy in our family, and we just kind of smile and wink and know nobody really call it what it is, and we don't get help, and then we don't go to therapy. And we need all of those things in order to be fully and completely healthy. And so I'm excited at what American Heart has done to tie that physical and mental well-being together to help destigmatize the conversation and really move us forward as a community in terms of our overall health.
Let's talk about our physical health here, and let's bring in Dr. Rowena Macklin, a doctor of osteopathic medicine, a family medicine specialist here in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas. She is a
Yes.
graduate of the University of North Texas Health Science Center, the Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine, and the University of North Texas Health Science Center at Fort Worth Medical School. Put all that on your business card. She is described as a strong advocate for patient education and outreach, early detection of cancers and chronic diseases, and preventive care. Dr. Macklin, let's talk about as Katrina has mentioned, and as Adele has come to understand with her husband, the importance as we are in the midst of a pandemic. We are experiencing challenges, a number of physical challenges in the midst of a pandemic, and yet we are not in understanding the importance of going to the doctor. We have been pushing this off for the last 2 years or so. Because of what we have experienced and not being able to get into the doctor or whatever
Hmm.
our challenges are. So let's talk about the importance of getting those physicals in and having the conversations with our doctors.
Well, I want to make a couple of points. And the first one is to Adele. We seem to have a disclaimer when we talk about the importance of humor and laughter in medicine. I want to reference a conference that I've gone to several years ago called The Spirituality of Healing by Dr. Herbert Benson at the Harvard University. And one of the modalities that they use to help improve prognosis is what? Laughter. So when I look at healthcare disparities, as a couple of people have mentioned before, the COVID vaccine has made this divide even greater, this discrepancy even greater, but it's always been there. And I look at the reasons why an issue for African Americans. Oftentimes, is work. Not only that you may not make as much money as other people to pay for the copays and so forth, but you may not be able to get off. So we need to start to advocate for employers to allow patients to get to their preventive health care or maintenance appointments. Um, I just thinking about not only transportation, but nowadays you have to have a computer if you want to just talk to the doctor.
Yeah.
So providing access to those things is a step, and then this program that you have now is going to be excellent, I think, because it's going to be like each one teach one, and like the take the love and the work like Tom John had before. So I'm looking forward to being a part of this, and I think it's going to be effective.
So let's talk about if we want to get back into the swing of things, physically speaking, and maintaining our good health. What's the first thing we need to do, or that you recommend that we do? Because here. Here's the other part of this, Dr. Macklin, is that many of us have been fired. And so
Yes.
our healthcare providers may now be different. And so how do we to give people an opportunity to work the steps, how do we get started?
Well, perhaps make a list and reference that list every day. And I have to practice what I preach, and I don't always do that. But as long as we can walk, we have access to exercise equipment. If you
Hmm.
can't walk at the park, walk around your backyard. We always have to have a stick when we walk in the hood. But you don't have to join LA Fitness to exercise. You don't have to do anything extravagant and expensive to cut back on your caloric intake. Stress reduction with laughter, exercise, as I mentioned before. Music is a great relaxer. So these are things we can do without getting into the provider's office. It's very difficult now because people are booked up 2 or 3 months out. But start with what you can do at home and make a list. And that list starts with easy options for exercising, cut back on calories and unhealthy food. We all cheated over the holidays. But now's the time to be cognizant of what we're doing to ourselves and support each other. Start a block team or
Mhm.
church team or what have you, and make it happen, because it starts with you. We can come up with all the excuses in the world, but it starts with us, and there's simple things that we can do.
I gotta admit, I'm not a gym rat, but I do take a walk as often as I possibly can. And today was a beautiful day. Sorry to you folks in the 0-degree weather, but it was a beautiful day in Fort Worth. And being able to in Dallas, Fort Worth, it was a great opportunity to get out and get some fresh air and to clear my head before we came to this event
Hmm.
here. So wherever we can, we do that. Do you also recommend in terms of starting a new relationship with doctors, anything we should do in that area?
Well, I just want to make reference to the exercise, and it not only helps us physically, but as the cardiologist knows, it improves our cardiac health as well as our mental health, not only now, but it may
Mhm.
also decrease the incidence of severity of dementia years from now. So that's one reason why I walk. Now is the ideal time. Open enrollment has just ended. People are looking
Mhm.
for providers. Providers have gotten on the panels. We're all ready for a fresh start. I think we need to have the mindset to be prepared for the next strand, because it's going to be here. But yeah, if you don't have a relationship with the provider, it doesn't have to be a physician. It could be a nurse practitioner. Make one, and remember that if you don't find one where you're the advocate, you're the captain of the team, and they're not listening to you, you have the option to find the best fit for yourself and your family.
And Katrina, you guys get to the heart of the matter because you are the Heart Association. But we also have to take into not where we are now, but those that we come from in terms of our history, our family history with heart disease and strokes and what have you, and 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 those of us that have the sugar, our
Yes.
family members. So that is something important that we need to also be cognizant of. Is that not correct, Katrina and Dr. Macklin?
Absolutely. I mean, knowing your heart history is important, but just because you don't have a history of something in your family doesn't mean you won't develop it. So, yes, know your
Absolutely.
history, but also know your own numbers too. There are blood pressure machines in many of the pharmacies, grocery stores, etc. Be cognizant of self monitoring. Make sure you check your cholesterol and diabetes annually. And as Dr. Macklin said, moving your body is so important. We
Mhm.
get nervous about the word exercise. For those of us that don't like jump up and down to go work out, it's like, I don't want to exercise, but just move. All movement counts. So if you can't go outside for a walk because it's 0 degrees, you could walk through the house. You can continuously clean for 30 minutes with the vacuum and, sweeping and dusting and all of that. Just be more active intentionally, and it will have such wonderful impact on your overall health.
Do you find that's true too there, Adele, as we're talking about moving and
Oh,
getting up
yes.
and out?
It's all I can do to keep from jumping in going. When you know people like me, when you like I do, people that have been incarcerated for years and they come out like this. He been walking and doing some working out. Now, if I know if Bubba and them could do it, we
Yeah,
could do it. They
that's
come
true.
back looking good and in great shape. How is that? And then I'm mad. I'm like, well, I need to bust your head so I can go to jail for a couple of months so I can get myself together. But it's absolutely true. We got to move around. We got to do some movement and not necessarily. I love that you said people who are afraid when they hear exercise because it's you don't have to look like people who work out all the time to have a healthy body.
Right.
You move around and you get those, get that adrenaline flowing and that vacuum. I love that you said that. Just vacuum the same spot 25 times. We got to get busy. And as far as the psychological part, I know I told Oprah a long time ago. I said black people don't like to go to psychiatrists because we think we know everything already. So when somebody's got you on the couch trying to tell you something, you're like, I don't want to hear that. I know stuff. My great granny taught me. Look, the
Hmm.
stuff that applied to your great grandmama don't apply today.
Mhm.
Okay, chitlins ain't just for breakfast anymore. How about that?
You and I both grew up in Chicago, but that's the difference between the South Side and the West Side. Chitlins didn't happen at breakfast, but I'm just saying. Well, actually, they didn't happen any time in our house.
Well, I
Uh,
hope they did. we have to make some changes despite the traditions. Some of those traditions get us in trouble. I mean,
Mhm.
they
Absolutely.
did
Yes.
what they had to
Yeah.
do back in the day, and a lot of, I mean, you look at old commercials, doctors used to recommend Chesterfield cigarettes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
4 out
know
of 5
Absolutely.
now,
doctors. That's right. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we know they're not healthy now. You have to keep up with what's going on because your body is definitely going to be affected if you don't,
Mhm.
in a negative way, I mean. But don't go to jail. I'm just saying.
We want that if we leave you with nothing else tonight, please don't go to
Don't
Don't
jail.
go
go
to
to
jail.
jail. Consult with an inmate. They do train you well.
Dr. Macklin, before we move on to, and we do need you, Dr. Stewart, but before we move on to the mental aspect, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that we need to bring into our homes on a regular basis, as Katrina mentioned, for the self monitoring, for like blood pressure and other things like that we might have on hand as we are monitoring ourselves on a daily basis?
Absolutely. Now blood pressure monitoring machines are affordable. I prefer the one that's not the wristband, that tends to be not as accurate. I prefer the one that wraps around the upper arm.
Mm-hmm.
We now can get blood sugar monitoring kits at the store, and understanding what our ranges are. That's the role that the physician plays. As a matter of fact, now we are encouraged to take blood pressures at home, and a lot of times the diagnosis is not made by what the blood pressure reading is in the doctor's office like it used to be exclusively. It involves, and one of the guidelines is what the readings are at home for patients. So it's almost imperative that we have a blood pressure machine. And I know that so much talk today is about what we can do, but we also, if we're in the position and have the time to push for access to these things, we ought to be able to give every patient a blood pressure monitor. We ought
Mm.
to be able to provide vouchers so that we can get some of the supplements and some of the foods that we need. We ought to be able to access pharmacy, patient assistance, those kind of things outside to give us what we need. It takes a mindset. So this would be a great segue for the psychiatrist. I think you don't have to start on January 1st. We get tired with that, and we didn't start January 1st, and so we kind of want to give up. And I try not to start things on January 1st because you get yourself in a lose lose situation. So when you develop the mindset, and that's what we have to try to create as family and friends and doctors and patients, is the mindset that we all
Mm-hmm.
move forward together.
That's
And can
right.
we change the thermometers from Celsius to Fahrenheit?
Okay.
Because Lord, I don't know the metric system. I might call the doctor by mistake. You know, my temperature is 36 degrees. I gotta be dead. Can we do that?
Can you see what you can do about that, Dr. Macklin?
You know what? It's funny you say that. Right, this is totally off subject. And right now, my monitor in my car is reading in all Spanish. So if I can figure out how to get everything in my car to read English again, I'll help you with that Celsius
Thank you.
transition. Okay.
I
I just have
appreciate it.
Puerto, I know door, but that's about it.
Gracias, senorita.
And it's not a foreign car.
Well, whatever language you speak, I hope that we are speaking your language of good health here tonight and moving towards the goal of checking in and checking up for your health. And as promised, Adele, let us go to my friend Dr. Alpha Stewart. She is the going to be talking to us about mental health. As you can see, she is the Senior Associate Dean for Community Health Engagement, Director, Division of Public and Community Psychiatry, and Director, Center for Health of Justice Involved Youth at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center in Memphis. And in that role, she has responsibility for planning and the implementation of community engagement initiatives at the University of Tennessee College of Medicine. And you are, that's a lot on your business card too, Doc. But I'm so very grateful that you are joining us in this new project of ours as we check in and check up on our health. And you do that with me. We'll reach out to each other and you're like, how are you? And I have, made a dedicated effort on my part to ask people the same thing. How are you? Now, unfortunately, like when I called my god sister and called her last night for an hour and 15 minutes, she told me how she was. But I do think that we need to check in and check up on each other, as especially as far as our mental health is concerned. And what do you think are the first steps, or can you give us some guidance on how we start in getting on the right steps to good mental health?
Absolutely. And first though, can I just say thank you again, because like everybody else, I am so pleased that you have established this relationship. And for me, a lot of what I do in psychiatry directly is either impacted by what's going on in someone's heart
Mhm.
or will
Mhm.
affect something about their heart. I mean, the number of people, the statistic about the number of people impacted by heart disease is only the tip of the iceberg. Those people who are impacted also have significant psychological problems, which either contribute to, cause, or are the result of these kinds of cardiac issues.
Mhm.
We
Mm.
all know someone who is on the verge at this point of totally losing it because of this pandemic. And when those things are accompanied by problems in their cardiac status, problems in their neurological status, any other organ in their body is impacted, the psychological distress that accompanies just being sick is enough to make you sick.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I just have to thank you, Sybil, for always assuring that if we're talking about health, we're not forgetting the mental health component of
Mhm.
health. In the mental health field, we talk about no health without mental health. I
Mhm.
think the reverse is also true. And from the standpoint of, destigmatizing mental illness, getting to the point where people, Black people specifically, are not afraid of what people will say or think or do if they begin to communicate that, I'm not doing well today. I'm
Mhm.
I'm not okay. It's okay to say you are not okay. And I love Katrina, Uncle Ray Ray, and cousin Billy. We all know these people. It's in all of our entertainment. It's in the movies. It's on TV. We know these people in our family. We know these people in our neighborhood. We know these people in our friend support network. And
Mhm.
we have got to get to the point, and especially during the pandemic, we've got to get to the point where we do that checking in and checking up. Now, the caveat I will add, based on your comment, Sybil, is when you say to someone, "How are you?" What you have to be ready for is
Yeah.
to say to them, "Well, I can only deal with this much today, but if you want this much, it's okay." Okay?
Yeah.
Because that
Mhm.
valve being released means that the flood, it's like drinking out of a fire hose. When
Yeah.
someone really hears in your voice, I want to know how you are. You and I have talked about this. I say, "How are you?" You say, "I'm fine." I say, "No, you're not." You say, "Yes, I am." And then we get down to the nitty gritty.
Mhm.
And in doing that, you run the risk all the time of having someone believe that for once they can actually tell you something. So you have to both be ready
Mhm.
for it and put some parameters around it. Tell them, "I can't deal with the meltdown directly today, but if you can hold on for like an hour, I'll get back to you." And in my experience, with the exception of people who are literally on the edge, that's
Mhm.
enough of a release for them to say, "Yeah, call me back, girl, in an hour. uh,
Mhm.
it can wait." And we just need to get comfortable having these conversations honestly. And I think the humor aspect of this whole time that we've been together so far has been good for my mental health.
Mhm.
So I think the more we can gather and support each other, whether you call it your sister circle, your girls, your ride or die, whatever your framework is for it, the more we can do that in the context of it is very serious stuff to be psychologically distressed, but we have to deal with it in a way that allows us not to let that overwhelm and overtake us. Now, as a professional in the behavioral health community, I do, and I think we talked about this the last time I did your show, that whole first contact, if you
Yes.
will, with the therapist.
Mhm.
And I've had a chance to kind of modify that since we chatted about it to make sure that people understand, as a professional, I expect you to have the goal of withholding from me because you don't know me. You don't understand why I'm asking you certain questions. You don't want to share your personal information. You like
Mhm.
for people to think that you got it all together because that's the way they see you.
Mhm.
And my job is to let you know that I can see behind that curtain. I can
Mhm.
tell by your body language, your response when I say what brought you to see me today. I can tell by the way your eyes shift, your body shifts, your tone drops a little bit. That's what I was trained to do. I don't do great procedures. I'm not going to draw your blood. I'm not going to stick the needle in your neck when you're in an emergency room or an ICU and shoot some medicine in. I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm the doctor that's going to talk to you and put you at ease enough so that you understand. I'm going to have to try to trust her because she may have something that will help me with my need right now. I've been a caregiver. When I moved back home to Memphis, it was for my mother who had had a heart attack and a stroke. My dad
Mhm.
died of a heart attack. So I'm real familiar with that. We never know. It wasn't in the family as far as we knew. And then suddenly they're dropping like flies. So
Mhm.
I'm real familiar with the stress of caregiving, how you have to pay attention to your own health, Adele. How you have to read the signs in yourself that the stress of caregiving is starting to impact your health and well-being. How you have to take a break
Mhm.
and you have to make yourself take a break. I think the collaboration with the heart, you can see I'm getting all enthusiastic about
Mhm.
this. The collaboration with the Heart Association is absolutely essential in the Black community because that's how we're going to get the message across that these silent killers that we don't recognize until we are seriously ill, that we can prevent, as Dr. Macklin says, with a walk or moving your arms, like gesturing a lot gives me a little exercise when I'm doing too many Zooms on a given day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You don't need to connect with anybody's face or jaw, but just having that motion would be a good way to get the blood flowing. There are so many things. The final thing I will say is that we must attend to the fact that intentionality is what will help us with this. We can't guess that we're
Mhm.
going to start it tomorrow or think we're going to and hope that
Mhm.
we're going to get around to it or plan to call the doctor in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
We have to be intentional. And I like I hate making lists, but I know they work. So Dr. Macklin is right. Start your list. What do I want to accomplish for myself today? I want to feel better psychologically. I want to not carry this weight of depression and anxiety with me. How do I do that? I start reaching out. I ask for help. I release the need to feel the stigma and allow others to make me feel stigmatized. If you find comfort in spirituality and religion, go there. If you find comfort in counseling, go there. Do not be afraid to help yourself. The final thing is we owe ourselves some grace. We've
Yeah.
been through a lot. As a
Mhm.
people, we go through a lot every day. Over the last couple of years, we've been through, as a friend of mine says, we've had more on our plate than we can say grace over.
Amen.
We need
That's
to be
true.
real clear to give ourselves just a tad of grace. Don't be so hard on, well, I didn't do that and I didn't do this and I wasn't there for this. Give yourself a little grace. Back up, take a deep breath, meditate if that helps, take a nice, warm bath, have a glass of wine,
Or two.
whatever, or two. I understand, Sybil, or two. And in some cases,
Right
depending
one.
on the wine, maybe three. Uh, it's all good. Just don't drink and drive. It's
Okay.
all good.
And especially
Um,
with a car that has only Spanish titles.
Spanish, yeah,
That's
Spanish.
right. That'd be a
Yeah.
bad combination.
But these are all things, reconnect with people, check up on people, do fun stuff. I am a reader and I regretted moving to the electronic stuff. Over
Mhm.
the pandemic, I started reading books,
Mhm.
paper books where you have to turn a page carefully,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. My mom was a librarian, so turning the page is very important in my world,
that's
and
right.
how you turn it and how you touch the page and stuff. So these are things that bring me joy. I love board games, so challenge me to a game of Scrabble, please.
Oh, come on, words with
All
friends. All
right.
right.
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
Adele, does any of this ring clear to you? Do you or anything that's familiar that you want to work on or consider?
Well, I totally agree. Like, and not just the pandemic, but the world of electronics has. I mean, I just said the other day that people like to read. They just don't want to read a whole paragraph. You know,
Right.
I
That's true.
reposted a blog that I wrote like 12 years ago because, and I said this is for readers only because it's more than 3 sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to do more than 140 characters, and it's scary.
Hmm.
I did that too. I went back to books. I started reading my books, and that was one of the positives that did come out of this pandemic. I picked up my books and I started to
Mm-hmm.
read them again, and I enjoy them. And I almost forgot how much I loved reading. I mean, I got a GED. I didn't like school, but I like books.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mhm.
So go,
so yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And that moving, like maybe you might want to connect to one or two
That's
people. That'll give you
I'm not
that'll give you
encouraging
some.
that, Adele. I'm not encouraging that. I may have to testify on your behalf, so I'm not
yeah,
encouraging that.
there seems to be a sense of premeditation here. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
encouraging
right.
that.
you meditate on the face that you might want to slap once or twice.
Just
And if you
don't
don't
touch it.
drink wine, some people smoke their liquor, but they have candy. They have candy now, so you don't have to smoke. You can eat it, and it's legal
Um,
in some states.
Adele,
So
if I may recommend a couple of books to you and to those that are here with us
absolutely.
and watching and listening today, "Loving on Me: Lessons Learned on the Journey from Mess to Message," as
Hmm.
well as "Be Bold,
Oh,
Be Brilliant, Be You: Lessons from the C-Suite to Accelerate Your Career." And those are the books written by our very own Katrina McGee.
Oh, great.
I need.
Yay!
I'm
Thank you.
gonna have to write that in my phone. I like going from mess to message. I
Right.
love
Mhm.
that.
Right, right. And Katrina, because you walk the walk as well as talk the talk, that's why we're so glad to be working with you in this great association with the American Heart, and as we check in and check up on each other, I want to give you all an opportunity to give us your final thoughts, and especially before we go to our question of the day, which is fun, and I hope you will enjoy. But I do want to kind of close out our conversation as you all have an opportunity to give us your final thoughts. Well, actually, let's start with you, Dr. Macklin.
Oh, goodness gracious. There are so many that came to mind. But one is, as they say, if you have an empty cup, you cannot give to others. I'm paraphrasing that, but you have to first take care of yourself to take care of others. That's probably what the one liner that I would have for you today is first take care of yourself.
Hmm. It's like the in the airplane.
Hmm.
Those of us may
Mhm.
not have been in an airplane lately, but they tell you to put your mask on first
Mhm.
before you help others, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Stewart, let's talk to you. What would you like to leave us mentally starved people with?
Well, because of your landmark collaboration with the American Heart Association, I'm going to remind people that if they are dealing with or concerned about a potential cardiac condition, cardiovascular condition, something in their heart, something with their heart or circulation, to remember that depression and anxiety are frequently travel along with those kinds of diseases. And so, if you're dealing with that, look at whether or not there may also be a component that you can deal with psychologically, because that will help the heart problem.
Mm,
Mhm.
amen. Amen on that. And Adele, how would you like to leave us with what you have gathered here, but what you want to leave with people about your experiences?
Well, I would say everything that you ladies have said is absolutely on point. And one of the most important things is taking care of yourself. You will not be able to care for somebody else without self care first. Because if you a mess, then you can't fix something else, or you can't assist in fixing something else. You need to get your own help. So I would say that is absolutely at the top of my list. Making sure I'm healthy, making sure I'm okay mentally, emotionally, and every other physically, every other way before I can start to reach out and help others. And I just also want to say, Sybil, thank
Mhm.
you, because this is absolutely crucial to our health
Mhm.
development. It's absolutely imperative that we assist ourselves and help others to remember we have to take care of our health,
That's right.
physical, mental, and emotional. It has to happen. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And Katrina, I'm going to give you the word here as our partner and as the representative of American Heart Association. And thank you as well as to all the other great people like my heart, Arica Kaysen, and in bringing this all together. So thank you so much. And how would you like to leave your, what's the final thought you'd like to leave with people?
Well, Sybil, this has been a wonderful conversation. It's these open, honest dialogues that will really help educate and transform health in our community. So thank you for bringing us all together. Thank you for the panelists. And if there's one final thought I want to leave people with, it is that you have permission. You have permission to take a break when you need it. You
Mm-hmm.
have permission to do what's in your own best interest, your own health. You have permission to call your healthcare provider when you feel like something is not right with you. And even if you are dismissed the first time, you have permission to go back because that
Mm-hmm.
is your partner in providing the healthiest, happiest life for yourself. And so always remember that even when you can't change the circumstances, you still have a choice and you have permission.
Hmm, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I want to. We're not done yet, but this is Myra J, our friend Myra J, another queen of comedy. Great show, ladies.
Hey,
Very
Myra.
needed, and she could use your help too, Doctor Stewart. I'm just saying. Um,
No, she's far beyond that, Sybil. Sorry. You off the hook, Doc, because she cannot be helped. I promise you.
I think we could get you a whole Chicago contingent, folks that need
Not in
your
the
help.
winter.
That's where the Zoom calls come in. So if we can move to our lighter moment, and we do have a question of the day for you all, which we do on It's Sybil. And so when you close your eyes and you see yourself singing, as you can see there on the screen, who do you see and what is the song? For example, our executive producer, Yolanda Starks White, she sees Beyonce. Now, you all saw her before the show, but what she sees is Beyonce. And she's singing one of my favorite songs as well as hers. And her favorite song is Love on Top.
Mm.
So, and I will tell you that when I close my eyes, I see Tina Turner and she's singing the best, simply the best, right? So I close my eyes, and this is at 3 o'clock in the morning before I would go to join her, or else I saw Kirk Franklin. So I had to scoot down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I sang "Smile." But when you all close your eyes, who do you see, and what is the song that you are performing? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, all right, Adele Givens.
I see Annie. The sun will come out
Oh,
tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow. I see Annie because
I
she's so
love
positive and
that.
uplifting, and I love the song Tomorrow.
Absolutely, I
Hang on
absolutely.
till tomorrow.
Amen. Amen. All right, Katrina, what do you think? When you close your eyes and you see a performer there, who are you and what are you singing?
I'm
Come
everyone
on.
is
All right.
calling me. The Shaka Khan version.
The
There you go.
Shaka
Shaka
The
Khan.
Shaka Khan version.
Shaka Khan,
Shaka
Shaka
Khan. Shaka
Khan.
Khan.
Dr. Macklin, how about you? Join the rest of us. Who do you see and what's the song?
Oh wow! I see that we're kind of going to kind of a slower vibe. I was thinking about Kirk Franklin too, but I'm going to go with Shaka Khan, "Through the Fire." It's always something
Ooh.
that kind of inspires me to overcome adversity or challenges.
I
So
like that. Through the
yeah.
fire. All right, then.
Mhm.
I see some versus competitions coming up here. I'm not sure. And Dr. Stewart, you already moving and grooving. Who do you
Oh
see?
yeah.
What's the song?
Oh yeah. I'm breaking ranks here. Because I actually see a duet.
Okay.
And it hasn't been done yet, so this is just in my mind. But I'm a psychiatrist, so I'm allowed to be in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I hear Mary J. Blige and "No More Drama"
Mm.
as an anthem for how I encourage people to live their lives.
Hmm.
But the refrain that I keep hearing in response to her "No More Drama" is Pharrell singing "Happy."
All right. I love that combo platter. And do you want some residuals from that suggestion?
Absolutely, for that
Okay.
idea. Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And I did it for you on your show so that you can get credit for the, the generating the idea, the production, and everything else. I'm only going to do it on your show. Nobody else will ever hear that.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And thank you for all of your performances. I appreciate that, as well as your great words here. I just want to close this out and talk a little bit about what we're doing. We're going to continue this information filled and empowering programming on a regular basis, and we're going to go into a number of issues, including men's health, women's health, mental health. And we thank you to the American Heart Association for your almost 100 years as a pioneer to getting to the heart of our health. This partnership will enable us to continue improving our overall health and lifting our spirits, as Tom Joyner did 20 years ago. It's hard to believe that he started it 20 years ago, but we started with taking a loved one to the doctor, and here we are checking in and checking up for your health. And please go to SibylWilkes.com. That's Sybil like the crazy girl, Wilkes like John Wilkes Booth. Yes, that's the best way to explain it. For more information to check in about checking in and checking up for our health. As we close out our show every day, we end with a jewel, a yogi's jewel. And today it is important to honor your relationships with actions of gratitude. It's important to honor your relationships with actions of gratitude. I don't know right now what I can do more than to say thank you, ladies, so much for being a part of this, our first hour here, as we have talked about checking in and checking up for your health, as well as having a great sister circle here and having this conversation, this very necessary and needed conversation. I hope it won't be our last all together. And go out there and be good to each other. Be well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Sybil.
Thank you for the
Sybil.
Thank you
opportunity.
so much.